Welcome to this video on Moses for Me Immortals, and in this video I'm going to show you how to run the demo. This is important that you run the demo to see, as I already said, that everything was correctly installed in your computer. So in the part 1 we are going to see the training, which is the part that is more complex. So what we have to do is to run the train script. The train script is in Desktop Machine Translation, Moses for Me Immortals, and the folder scripts. There is another folder also in Desktop Machine Translation, which is MMM, where is the data and where the corpora for training and trained will be, and the translations will be done, etc. So this is the folder of the corpora for training. I'm going to skip the make test script. I'll explain that in another video, and we are going to open the train script. So it is, as usual, it has an introductory part, and there are some fields that you can change. So this is the path where the installation is. You can change if you change it in everything. MMM you don't change. You have the source and target language already filled in for the demo. You have the corpus base name, which is the corpus for training, and these are the two files perfectly aligned, TXT UTF-8 format. And you have the language model corpus, which is monolingual. The corpus for training is bilingual. The requeser is also monolingual, and the tuning and test corpora are also bilingual. So all these files must be in TXT UTF-8 format. So now I'm just showing you the training, the corpus for training. So as you see, it has no formatting nor anything, and it has to be perfectly aligned with the Portuguese. Both files have to have the same name, with the exception of the extension for the language, which must be a 2-character extension. So here you have, as again, the cores. This is the only script where it may be worthwhile to leave 1 or 2 cores available for other things if you really need it, but if you can, give all the cores. Also, as default, there is no tuning, and I'll explain later what it is. Just accept the default. So the rest is as in the other scripts I have already shown you. It is the instructions. Don't touch it unless you know what you're doing. So we are going again to open the terminal. The only difference of opening the terminal is that when the operation, in this case the training, is finished, the terminal won't be closed. If you just click on Run in Terminal in the script, it will do exactly the same with this exception. So I'm going again to copy copy and paste the file, the script path, and as before for the other scripts, / and train and return, and it starts to do the training. So there is some preparatory work. He starts by building the model language model. Afterwards, there are several other operations that I'm not going to explain now, and I'm just going to skip the training because it takes some time. But Moses will align by word. The corpora are already aligned by segment. Now is going to align them by word and build the models. Here I open the system monitor. The system monitor is here, or if not, you go to search your computer and online resources and type terminal, and it appears. And this is just something that it's good for you to see how much of the resources of your computer are being used. In this case, I have 8 cores, which is good, not bad at all, and I have 32 gigabytes, so the training will go quite fast and for a small corpus like this. So this, I skipped the training. This is already the test with the corpora for test that is here, 500 segments, and what he's doing is just translating it to be able afterwards to score the machine translation output. So now we have here the end of the training. We have the results of everything is all right. There is no error message. You see there the blue score, 71.88. As I already said, this is in the main test corpus, so it won't be so good with the completely new documents. So it has the start date and then the date and time. In this case, it took about 1 hour and a half. In a 4-core computer and less memory, it will take probably 2 or 3 hours. Nevertheless, after that time, you know that the installation is okay, and in fact, if you don't want, you wouldn't even have to do any of the other run any of the other scripts, the translate and the score script, because it has already been run here in the demo, and so the system is working perfectly. Now let's see what are the results. You can have, as for the other scripts, you can see the log. As I said, it is only important to see the log if there is any error message for you to find out what was the matter and ask for help if you can solve it. And you have the same information at the end that you have here in the terminal. So afterwards, the reports, which is something that usually you should look at. It has the important information about this particular training. So you have the several phases of the training with the time it took. So the language model building, the recaser training, the corpus training, the memory mapping to be able to have the models in the memory, otherwise they would be too big, they have to be binarized. You have the source and the target language of the training, and you have the other settings that were there by default. You also have the scoring, and it is 71.88. Afterwards, you have the information of all the settings and all the locations of all the files. Don't worry, you don't have to think about that. Here we have just a brief parenthesis of what does Moses do. In fact, what it does is to build a bilingual dictionary, which is called the translation model or phrase table, and to build a language model, which is a vocabulary or a monolingual dictionary. Because these are the two building blocks, the main ones. Of course, everything in Moses is important, and it wouldn't work without it. But just to call your attention to something that we translators understand well, which are the dictionaries. So, I'll start by showing you the bilingual dictionary. And the bilingual dictionary, as you can see, has the source language, and afterwards the target language, the translation that Moses considered as the right translation, and afterwards the probabilities of that were computed during the training. As you can see, there are small bits and longer bits. As we did use the defaults, this dictionary is built with up to 7 words. So this is something that you can change in the settings of the script, of the train script, but in our experience building the translation model up to 7 words really gave better results. As you can see here, there are 6 million entries in this dictionary, just with a small corpus of 200,000 segments. Now here we have the language model, or the monolingual dictionary, and you can see here that it has 1 gram. It is just one word, or it can also be a comma or something like that, but never mind. One word. Let's not make it simpler. And for a string of 7 words, he has found 4.5 million entries. So this is a long file, which in corpora of 12 million segments I cannot even open because I don't have enough memory in my computer to open it. But with this small corpus, it is possible to open it. So you can see it starts by one word, 2 words, 3 words. He goes down, and he has the counts of every occurrence in the corpus and probabilities. So in this training, with this small corpus, he built a dictionary, a monolingual dictionary, as you can see there, up to 7 words, and he built a dictionary with 18 million entries. So these 2 dictionaries are the building blocks, and what Moses is going to use afterwards in the decoding phase, in the translation phase. So what do we have? We have the model, the bilingual model, the bilingual dictionary, which tries to guarantee accuracy. That when I say preto, it will be translated by black and not by green or whatever. And the language model, the monolingual, that will try to make the translation, or choose the best translation in terms of what a native speaker would say. So, for instance, if I say vou para casa, this is the model that is going to say that the translation is I'm going home and not I'm going house, which from the point of view of accuracy, casa is house, but we don't say it. So of course there are many other things, but just to give you absolutely the basics. Now, every language pair has different relationships, so to say. What Moses does in the training, without tuning, it is that he sets all the weights in the same way, which means it gives the same weight to the translation model, to the language model, and some other parameters that I'm not going to discuss now. If you want, you can look at the tutorial. So each the results of tuning, fine-tuning the settings of Moses when he's going afterwards to translate, usually produce better results. So what it is tuning? It is a training that you could have done at the same time as you did the first training, but I recommend that you first do the training without tuning, so that afterwards you can compare the results with tuning. As Moses for Me Immortals reuses previous trainings, if you don't change any of the settings except that the tuning, adding the tuning, you can easily, without wasting time, first do a training without tuning, and afterwards the same corpus with the same settings with tuning. So, in the train script, you see that here we have one report, which was the report of the training without tuning. Now we are going to repeat exactly the same corpora, the same settings, the same everything, with the exception of the tuning setting. So this is the same script that I had shown you, the languages, all the corpora are the same. So don't change anything here. What is important is that you accept the default value, which is reuse. It means that you will reuse everything that was done before and just do the tuning part. So leave everything as it is, and in tuning just change the setting, which is by default no tuning, to tuning. You can accept or not the settings, because here the default is one of the tuners, which is MERT, but there are also others. And the maximum runs, it is how many times, up to how many times will the tuning be done. And what is the tuning in fact? It is that is going to, you save it, of course, you save the changes, and you run the script. So what it is going to do is going to reuse everything that was done before, and is going to translate the tuning corpus, which has 500 segments, and is going to translate it up to 25 times, trying to find the best translation, to see which settings by automatic evaluation the results are better for from Moses' perspective, so to speak. So as you can see, he has already started the translation phase. So he's going to translate those 500 segments over and over again. I am going to skip this phase. So we are going to look at the final training, but this is a process that can take quite a while. If you want, you can change the maximum number of runs and do 5 or 10, whatever. And one of the advantages of first doing a training without tuning is that you can do several tunings. So here you have the results, and as you can see, it took 2 hours and 30 minutes to do the tuning. More time than 1 hour and a half for the training. Usually it is not more than the training, but it is quite some time. So if now we can look here for the report. So we have the report of the training without tuning, and here the training with tuning. So if we open the report, we can see all the information, and tuning is yes, it has been executed. If we look at the at the first training, the initial training without tuning, you can see in the report that the tuning executed was no, it was not executed. In terms of what was the advantage of doing this, as you can see there, the score is 74.4, 2.4 points more than without tuning, which is maybe quite important. Of course, only human evaluation will say if really it has improved or not. But nevertheless, usually it is better. So now let's look at the log. So that was the log. There are 2 logs now, and as you can see here in the log, it says that he has reused all the other phases of the training and has only done the tuning. So the recaser, it has the building language model, tokenizing, all the operations that it does, training of the corpus itself, memory mapping, memorizing the phrase table, And what he has done is just the translation part and the tuning of the weights. So you have the same information that you have there in the terminal. So I hope that this demonstration will help you to easily do your own trainings and see if everything is all right. If everything went without any problems, you can now train your own corpora. And if you want to see how to prepare the corpora, there is another video on corpora. Thank you very much for watching.